Whether you are a Halo fan or not, Halo Infinite is rumored to have the biggest budget in gaming history and will be available for everyone on PC. So with that in mind, what are some big features that one can hope will be in this game? Well, until E3 this year, Halo Infinite is still surrounded in a shroud of mystery, other than a few things like it's gonna focus on Master Chief, the game will be on PC, and it's gonna have split screen, and a new engine is being developed for it called Slit Space. But what are a few other things that Halo fans can hope for, or just the entire gaming community in general, that could make Halo Infinite one of the biggest releases ever? Halo Infinite is my most anticipated thing of E3 this year, no doubt. There's other cool announcements that we'll get into later on in the channel, so subscribe if you haven't yet. But now that Kingdom Hearts 3 has been released and everything, this is my next big thing. And what are some huge, nice features that I would love to be in this game to make it potentially the best Halo yet? First one I'll go into is forgeable AI sequences. Halo 5's Forge mode is something to behold. I haven't seen anything like it when it comes to just a multiplayer game. People have made some of the craziest maps there, and they even have custom games browsers where you could just load up a bookmarked map or explore other maps and just play with random other people. So why not add to that? Let's step up. We can't really step up the Forge mode that much. There might be ways, but why not step it up by adding some AI sequences? It's been a long time request from fans ever since Halo 3 introduced Forge mode that they wanted to put AIs on maps and ways to interact with them or fight them and so on. And 343 lately has really been promoting how they want to listen to the community and, fulfill long-time hopes. So this is one of those things. And Warzone, while it's not technically a forged sequence by the community, it's kind of a gateway into this and can give us an idea of just, here's a big map, we have random spots for AIs here. It's like, why wouldn't players be able to do that in this next big installment? Like Doom already does it. Doom was able to do this, where people could make kind of a sequential AI fight of some kind, so why not Infinite? And this point actually leads me into my next thing that I would love, being the return of Firefight. And Firefight's been in, Halo 5. They have this more objective game type for a firefight, which I personally think is fun. I do like this mode. But we haven't really had a survival version since Halo Reach back in 2010. While I can respect Spartan Ops in Halo 4 and the new objective-based firefight in Halo 5's Warzone, Halo Infinite could present players with a large amount of options when it comes to co-op play. Why not bring back this mode? And this is part of that forgeable AI sequences. People can make their own version of Firefight or something like that. Yes, it probably would have to be a developed thing for Firefight to work because Firefight can potentially be infinite, no pun intended, but maybe there's a way that people could forge firefight sequences as well and just have maybe like 5 different versions of Firefight, similar how there's to multiple versions of Capture the Flag and so on. I just want survival though to come back. And plus people are talking about potentially Flood coming back and just all these other various enemies. It'd just be really cool to finally be able to squad up with your friends and do a firefight version where you have to survive for as long as possible, and that is your only objective. Get through as many waves as you can. This could go on forever. And the amount of options that Reach had when it came to customizing the game type, who knows? Infinite could have that as well as bundles more of stuff we can't even comprehend. The previous 2 things I said means, Halo Infinite could lead to a lot more creativity from the community, but what would be great for that is to add a new batch of enemies to fight that just adds some variety to things. Yes, the Prometheans are most likely coming back because of story reasons and the Prometheans aren't going anywhere. I personally don't care for them as an enemy, but at least introduce some new classes of them that are interesting, or maybe a new faction of the Covenant that somehow you can add a new faction without them just having a faceless leader or something that you don't care about. Like, I hope that they can add more understandable and a face to the Covenant to fight if they do. But, just add some new factions. People are talking about the Flood coming back, which would be cool, and it makes sense because if this really is Zeta Halo, then that would make sense. But just add some new enemy vehicles, variants of soldiers, some new weapons, and just so on that adds some new opponents to fight instead of fighting the same old and same old. Even if it's just a variant, Brutes, we got them back in Halo 3, but they played different, and some of them even had jetpacks and everything, like just something to add a bit of variety to what you are facing. And we'll need these new enemies for this next big feature, being a large sandbox campaign. There is so much speculation that Halo Infinite will be open world like, or even maybe a little bit of RPG, which I'm not buying either of those really. Halo's always been a very campaign driven game, but I can picture, you know, a more interactive environment and climates changing and so on. I just want to see Halo go back to its Halo 1 roots, honestly. Halo 1 had probably the biggest sandboxes that Halo's had. But what if we could see that on an even bigger scale? Like what about something like Metro Exodus or the new Mombasa in ODST, where you have to work your way through some big section of like a kind of like a mini free roam map. And then once you get through that section, you can move on to the next one and then the next one. And you kind of have these big open sandboxes to explore and do missions and stuff before you go on to the next one. Imagine a Halo game that you have to scavenge weapons and you have so little of it, and you really try to save Marines because it feels so lonely out there just being Master Chief on this huge planet-like ring structure, you know? So it'd be great to save Marines, to have them with you and ride with them in a Warthog and share ammo and so on. Like, I just want to get a sense that this isn't necessarily a free roam, but it's such a big sandbox with various ways to explore it and approach situations and so on. That just is the biggest Halo's had yet. And this next feature, I don't know if it's the biggest thing I want on this list, but it's the most required to me. This is the only one of this list that I feel is a must, and that is crossplay. MCC being on the PC was a big announcement and a great move from Microsoft Studios to catch former fans up with the franchise, to which I covered in another video that should be popping up in the cards above. You can check that out. But both Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite have no word of being able to be played between Xbox and PC users, and that's a very big deal to me. Now, as I'm recording this, E3 2019 hasn't happened yet, and it's very likely that it could be announced, and it would be neat announcements to like go with xCloud gaming that most likely go into this year. But again, we have no confirmation as to if this is going to be a thing or not. And I miss the days where you would go into Halo and you go into the matchmaking menu and you would see the player count being in the hundreds of thousands. I want to see that again. And if crossplay is not allowed, then that's not going to happen. That pool will not be that high of a number, and it's going to be divided. And that's not what the Halo community is about, in my opinion. The Halo community is about playing things together and meeting people and trying out their maps and so on. And it's so important to keep that community together. And if people are afraid of playing with PC people with their mouses and keyboards because that's going to be a better player or something, make a filter option. Make an option to filter out those players that are using keyboards or whatever. And I'm sure there's a way to make it work, especially for just casual players. This just has to be a feature in the game, no question to me. Because as Caesar once said, apes together, strong! And you might have some picks I haven't mentioned here because, heck, I still have tons of other features I'd like to be in this game, but these 5 are my personal, like, borderline must for Halo Infinite in order for it to be, like, the biggest Halo yet. These 5 features would make the game super great at launch and to really just make this huge. I want to interact with the Halo community about this, or even former gaming fans, you know? Like, if you're not a Halo fan, but you used to be, what would be something that would bring you back that you'd be super excited about? Let me know, and I want to chit chat about it. And like this video if you enjoyed it, it really helps me out. And you could check out one of my videos down below, to which was my Halo Infinite reaction, to which I was so caught off guard. Like it's kind of humorous, honestly, how caught off guard me and the community was, as well as a funny video of me playing Halo 5 with some friends where you could see the craziness that is Halo 5 Forge. Like, all the maps we play on were forged maps. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, to which every single week we have content just like this, as well as reactions, discussions, and so on, to encourage you to be geek, be proud, be awesome. Live that motto. Check out something from down below, and Halo is coming back, baby.